198 games for West Ham, 18 goals, according to our sources at West Ham United. Hammer of the Year 2004, Matthew Etherington.
How you doing?
Welcome to the show, Matty Etherington.
Matty Etherington.
Oh, mate, so many good times. So many good
Lots
times.
of good times.
Yeah.
It's always exciting seeing you on the ball. Genuinely. When you get someone who's tricky on the ball, it's always so exciting to watch.
Yeah, I had some good season, so yeah, I was excited as well. So yeah, thanks, Sam.
Yeah, well, I mean, we like our technique is to go through in chronological order, which we will do. But obviously, I mean, your style, Matty, pace, clipping balls into the box. I mean, it worked like a charm, didn't it?
Yeah,
in the West Ham
I was quite direct, yeah. But yeah, that was my aim: get down the wing, get to the byline, put the ball in the box, and I did it quite a few times. And yeah, the first few seasons at West Ham were brilliant. I loved them.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair to say, mate, after you left, we never really had anyone that good at doing it. Matty Jarvis.
No, we had Matty Jarvis, and we're talking about him. I mean, he seems like a good man, but it never quite clicked for him.
No.
You know, and he was a guy we wanted to take on the players, but he never quite got there for us. He's doing great at Norwich, but
no, I think Sam bought him on the fact that the amount of crosses he got into the box, because obviously Sam's quite big on stats, and but I always think it's not about numbers of balls into the box. It's got to be quality as well, and I think that's maybe to a certain extent. I've got a lot of time for Matty. I know him quite well, but maybe to a certain extent, it's what let him down during his time at West Ham. The balls into the box weren't of probably the quality that he wanted, and that's probably why it didn't work out for him.
Yeah. Well, let's wind the clock right back now to August 2003.
Yeah.
Blue Cantrell, Breathe in the charts.
Sean Paul.
With Shana Paul. Big tune there in the charts. You're at Spurs. I think David Pleat's the manager. Is it?
No, Hoddle was the manager.
Hoddle's the manager.
Yeah.
Phone rings.
Yeah.
What happens?
He pulled me after training one day and said, fancy going? And I was like, well, where? He said, West Ham. I was like, yeah. That's some of that. He goes, I wasn't, I played a handful of games a season before and done really well, and he'd brought Christian Ziege in at the time, and any time he was fit, he was playing, so I just thought, I ain't getting a fair crack of the whip here. And plus Freddie Canute was going the other way. So, obviously Hoddle was keen on doing the deal, and I said, yeah, definitely, do it. So then that was it. Went round Glenn Roeder's house, met him.
Around his house?
Yeah.
What was his house like?
His house was quite nice, actually.
Was it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
I can imagine.
It's in Shenfield, isn't it? His house?
Yeah, Brentwood way. Yeah, that's what I remember, yeah. And,
haven't been round.
In my head, it's quite antiquated, his house. Did he have a hologram of his own head?
No, not that I saw anyway.
The West Ham Museum used to have a hologram with a Glenn Roeder head.
Oh, okay.
Hello and welcome to the West Ham Museum.
Yeah, he was. He'd just come out of surgery, actually. I think 'cause obviously he had that
scar on his head.
Yeah, that thing was the problem with his brain, was it? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but so he just come out of hospital and was getting back into the fold. Obviously, West Ham got relegated that pre-season, and I quite liked him. To be fair, he seemed a nice fella, and it just made sense to me at the time.
And obviously you join West Ham, but it's a real kind of shambolic time for West Ham because the players are just getting sold left, right and centre. We're just freshly relegated. When you walked into that dressing room, what was the atmosphere like? Was it a bit weird?
Yeah, it was a bit weird. It was a bit fragmented in many ways. Obviously, I think Joe Cole had just left. Defoe was looking to leave. I think he actually ended up leaving in the January transfer window that season, and Mickey Carrick was basically the only one that said he'd stay for another season and give it a go. So obviously when those sort of players are leaving, top quality players, you're thinking this could be a struggle this season. But we still had lots of quality in the team, and I was, at the end of the day, West Ham's a huge club, innit? It didn't deserve to be in the Championship, and it was about getting the team out of the Championship and getting into the Premier League.
When Roeder come, when you had that chat round his house, did he say to you, by the way, we're going to sell a lot of players here?
He said there's going to be a big turnover of players, and obviously the majority of the players leaving are going to be the better ones. But it didn't bother me. Obviously, I knew West Ham were a huge club with a huge fan base, and it just really appealed to me. And obviously, it was still in London as well, which so I didn't have to relocate or nothing, and it just made sense. And I'm glad I did it.
Yeah. So the first game of the season, I think 9th of August, Preston away, your debut. Yeah. Word on the street, we're picking up players in the coach at service stations on the way there. That's the rumour. Was there any truth to that?
No, I don't.
Oh,
well,
really?
Not that I can remember. Anyway.
Is it Neil Mellor, I think it was.
Yeah, didn't we pick up Neil Mellor on route?
Right, yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah, he didn't train with the lads, yeah. So it's true. It is true, yeah. We did pick him up on the way. God, he actually done all right, to be fair.
You thought you were stopping for Little Chef?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it
was it arranged, or was he just in KFC at Newport Pagnell? Hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Well,
That's Neil Mellor,
you've got
right?
your boots.
He's doing kick-ups to the side, yeah. Yeah, he was, obviously it was difficult, but we did all right, I suppose. Did we win that game?
Yeah, we did. We won.
Yeah.
I think we won 2-1 that day, and of course
Did I set up a goal.
You set up the goal,
yeah.
David Connolly.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
In front of the West Ham fans.
Yeah. No, I actually remember that, Davey. I thought I did okay. So it was it was a relatively good debut. So I was happy with that.
Are you nervous on a debut? Did you get nervous for matches?
I was
anyway?
more nervous for the home game, especially because I was driving down. There's a pub on the left as you come. Say you're driving towards the Bobby Moore statue.
Yeah.
And you've got the ground on your right hand side. What's the name of that road called? You know, is it Barking Road?
Yeah, Barking Road's the main one, and there's Bowling Pub on the corner.
Yeah, that's it. So I was driving down that road. There's a pub on the left about before that junction, about 300, 400 yards. I can't. Is it the captain or something like that? Anyway. Cut a long story short, there's a load of West Ham fans outside, and I've got the window down. Big mistake. And they knew I'd come from Tottenham and that, and they were like, we don't want you here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Don't know if I should swear, yeah. And I'm thinking,
Why would you say that? I'm a fan.
yeah, I think obviously because I'd come from Tottenham, the fans weren't happy at the time of everything that was going on at the club, and all the players leaving, so I understood. But that made me nervous then when I had a little bit of abuse. It was probably half a dozen fans, but I was thinking, oh, okay, here we go. Got to win them over.
So it was obviously a mixed start for Glenn Roeder. I mean, what were your working with him? Do you think this is the guy to lead us out of the Championship, or was it clear that he was a bit out of his depth?
It's nice the way as I can put it. Like I said, he's a lovely fella, but he probably wasn't the man to take us out, get us out of the Championship, and I think that was clear for everyone to see, and hence that's probably why he left when he did, you know.
I think it was Rufus Brevitt who said on this podcast, it was I think Ian Pearce as well, that he couldn't handle the big personalities. Was that clear even when you joined the club?
Yeah, definitely. He couldn't handle it, without a doubt. And when you got players ruling the roost and not the manager, you've always got problems, and first and foremost, manager's got to dictate to the players what he wants from them, etc. And that wasn't happening. So he had to go.
The last player we had in the studio was Ian Pearce, and you've kind of taken over the timeline from here. I think you shared like half a season together, and obviously a famous game in West Ham folklore was the defeat to Rotherham, which cost Glenn Roeder his job. And the word on the street was that West Ham were too kind of Premier League to go use the Rotherham changing rooms. I mean, what was your memories of Glenn Roeder's last game and getting changed on the coach?
Yeah, we did get changed on the coach. Yeah, I forgot about that. My memory's shocking. Again, probably a big mistake, wasn't it? 'Cause, if the opposition find out you ain't getting changed in their change room because we're Premier League West Ham kind of thing, it gives them an extra incentive, doesn't it? And it's not the right thing to do. I remember getting changed on the coach, and obviously we had a few big units in the team, so the change rooms were really small. But like Ian Pearce himself. But you don't do it, do you? Simple as that. And big mistake, I suppose.
I mean, Glenn Roeder was sacked pretty sharpish after that game. I mean, how did you find out the news? Was it on the coach or?
No, I can't remember. I think I found out when I got home, I think. And obviously, Trevor Brooking took over, didn't he? So, obviously a legend. So, but you could tell as well with Trevor, he didn't really want the job. He was doing it, because we were out a manager, and he wanted to help the club out, but he was never interested in becoming a manager, I don't think.
I mean, the results improved immediately under Trevor Brooking, and everyone says he was such a great manager and that the players want him to have the job. I mean, what was it about him that produced?
Just his aura. Obviously, he'd been there and done it. That helps, I think, when you've got a manager that does that. And but he was a good fella as well, and I just think the lads just had respect for him instantly, and that always helps. That's first and foremost for the manager. I think you need that more than anything else, and he had that in abundance.
What of his did he have allegedly a continental style of management, shall we say, where like he didn't get involved with the training so much?
No, he didn't do no training. No, I think was it Kevin Keane that did it? I can't remember. But he was very very laid back, just sat on the sidelines. Watching brief, so to speak. So, but then when he said his piece, he spoke a lot of sense, to be fair.
Yeah. But then, so obviously he didn't want the job full time. In comes Alan Pardew, who's a manager to feature quite heavily in your career over the next few years. Do you remember what were your initial impressions of that man?
initial impressions were he'd come to watch. I can't remember what game we were playing, but he'd come to watch the first game, and he was sat up in the stands. And I come off injured. I think I was in the change rooms after about 70 minutes, so I was just watching it on the screen in the change rooms. And he's come down and gone. I had a chance of signing you when I was at Reading. And I was like, oh, did you? He said, yeah. He goes, obviously you were still at Spurs. He goes, I didn't fancy you, to be honest. I pulled out the deal. I was like, oh, well, that's nice to know. He goes,
welcome.
Yeah. He said, but I'll tell you what. He goes, I made a mistake. He goes, I think you're a great player, and I'm going to build a team around you. So when he said that, I was like, that'll do me. So I was happy with that, and I played really well under him. I had a lot of time for him, to be honest. He was a good manager.
That's such good man management, that, when you hear things like that. I think it's really good way to, psychologically, really strong, isn't it? To make
exactly, yeah. That's what they... Really man management wise, he was brilliant. Tactically, I think people underestimate him as well. He was very good tactically, and obviously people got a lot of opinions on Alan Pardew, but I liked him.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, man management, he seemed to be able to whip everyone up, and as we'll talk about later on in your career, there was times when he really needed an atmosphere at West Ham, and he managed to whip the fans up.
He did.
What was it? What was it about his man management skills that kind of got?
Good question.
Well, it's funny. We talk about the difference between someone like Pard and someone like Big Sam. Big Sam never embraced the fans. He never went. He never spoke about the West Ham way and all that nonsense or no nonsense. Big Sam never did that, whereas Pards literally wore the t-shirts, and was jumping into the fans and really embraced that way of life and way of thinking. And I think that's a big difference between the two of them as personalities.
Oh, definitely. You've got to embrace the fans first and foremost. You can't be, fighting up against the fans like Sam did to a certain extent. You're never going to win, are you? As simple as that. But he was brilliant. I think the fans took to him. Obviously, there was rocky patches as well. I remember, was it in the Premier League when we got promoted? We played, was it Watford at home? We got Adi Boudreau as manager, and they were calling for his head. I think that was the season actually he went, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But obviously every manager goes through those periods. But on the whole, I thought he was top class, and man management wise, he just had the players on side. He was one of the lads sometimes, but you knew there was a line and you couldn't cross it, and he was very good in that respect. And all the players had a lot of time for him.
Yeah, that first season he was in charge, obviously a difficult patch, but mainly it was just like a big run of draws that happened. A lot that kind of dragged us down. We were in and about, but the last 4 games of the season, I think we won 3 and drew 1 and got cemented our place in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, were we fortunate to get into the playoffs, do you think, by the end of that first season?
We definitely started over the line, didn't we, in respect to getting in the playoffs, but I think we were in the top 6 best sides in the league, without a doubt. There was no doubt about that. But I just think when you're playing for such a big club in the Championship, as we were obviously for West Ham, there's a weight of expectation from the fans. The fans are expecting you to win every week, which is fair enough, and they're rightly entitled to think that. But at home there were some games. I remember us playing teams like Gillingham and that. No disrespect to them, but we're expected to turn up and win. And one game, I can't remember who it was against, but we were 2-0 up at half time. I remember fans weren't happy with the performance, which is fine. Which is fine. I can understand it, but when that's happening, you're thinking, what have we got to do here, kind of thing. So it was interesting, but there was an added sense of expectation. But we got to 2 playoff finals under him. Obviously, the first one was a write-off, a horrendous game, and we were shocking on the day, as were Palace, but they got that goal, and the second year was much better.
Yeah, I mean, so that first last game of the season, we got Wigan away, we're 1-0 down, minutes to go. Brian Deane scores last-minute equaliser, which knocks Wigan out of the playoffs and puts Palace in. I mean,
it's unbelievable. Isn't it?
That summer, obviously, with the heartbreak that was to follow, did you think about that moment much?
I'll be honest, no, because I was devastated about losing. It was such a big build-up, and obviously the amount of fans that we brought to the game, everything about it. The chairman starts turning up for training and having a look over, and you're thinking, oh right, we might have a couple of big games coming up here, because you just realise the importance of it to everyone financially. Getting back into the Premier League, where obviously West Ham belong. There's huge pressure there, so it was more the disappointment of losing that game, not performing as we know we can perform. and then thinking I've got another season in the Championship, which isn't, it's a hard league.
Yeah, it's funny hearing that from a player when, as a fan, it's very similar.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe it. But before the heartbreak of the final, of course, there was 2 legs with Ipswich, which, I mean, you were man of the match. I think for both of them were very, very well rated. But the game that everyone talks about is obviously the second leg at Upton Park, the most frenetic, crazy atmosphere ever. I think the man came out with a horn to start proceedings.
Yes, I forgot about that.
For me, the greatest game I've ever seen at Upton Park. I mean,
lots of people say that, to be honest. Yeah, it was a special night. Obviously, again, huge expectation to win the game, being 1-0 down, and I thought we played well on the night, but it took, obviously, I think around 60 minutes I scored, didn't I? And just the relief in the ground when that ball went into the back of the net, and I think Pards ran into the crowd, but when I've played the goal back before, which I've done many times, I'm not going to be shy to admit that. But just everyone went mental, didn't they? It was. I went mental. I took my shirt off. Yeah. It was what a feeling. I can't describe it. It's just. It was the most amazing feeling I ever had from scoring a goal. Simple as that. Yeah,
I mean, watch it again on YouTube. I'm sure West Ham fans will remember it well. But I mean, what a strike, Matt!
Yeah, I just call it so pure. And one of their players was sliding in, and it's gone under his leg somehow. I don't know how he's missed blocking it, but as soon as I hit it, it was in. And straight into the top corner.
Amazing scenes. And then, of course, we go on to win that game. Christian Daly controlling the ball with his nutsack, slotting it into
I'll put the corner in for that as well.
Set one up as well. I mean, at full time, what was the dressing room like?
Yeah, we were bouncing off the walls, so it was amazing. Absolutely one of the best nights I've ever had on a football field. Simple as that. Probably the best. The fans were tremendous. The noise in that stadium that night, I've never heard anything like it since, to be honest. It's just like you said, it's one of them nights you'll never forget, and I definitely won't forget it.
With the kind of Bowling Ground is only got a year left. I mean, for you, is that the outstanding memory of?
Well, it is for me personally, without a doubt. There's nothing that comes close to it. With just the whole feeling in the stadium that night. I think it was actually quite a nice night as well, wasn't it? It was blue skies and the lights were on, and just everything about it was special. Yeah.
And then, of course, next game, the final, it all went wrong. We spoke to Steve Lomas, who said he felt that maybe the team peaked in that semi-final, winning that 2-0. But what do you feel went wrong?
Yeah, Steve could be right. It was just a non-event. We just didn't turn up. Yeah. I can't tell you why. I honestly can't. But it was the worst thing in the world coming off that pitch, knowing that you've done all that. That's scraped into the playoffs. Had that night at Upton Park. It was as special as it gets, and then to not follow it up and to get beat by Palace, who were poor as well, was hard to take. To be honest, it took me a good till I got back for pre-season to get over it. I had the right unfull summer.
Yeah, I mean, a real heartbreak. But I wonder, do you think the impact having that defeat helped you over the next couple of years? Because of course you were going to go back to Cardiff 2 years on the trot after that. Do you think it helped you in any way?
It helped. Yeah, obviously we knew the stadium. We knew the disappointment of losing there, going all that way with the fans. Obviously, we brought thousands of fans, and the disappointment of losing, and we didn't want to. Ironically, we were in the same change room for those 3 years as well. So it was kind of an environment we knew, and it definitely helped in the next 2 years, without a doubt. And we performed well in those 2 games.
Yeah, so obviously difficult summer, but then you go back into training and you've got Teddy Sheringham there, Luke Chadwick. After all the work he's got done, he's looking like David Hasselhoff.
Is Hasselhoff the best looking guy you could think of?
Yeah, that's right. Or Bon Jovi. Both attractive.
Michael Bolton.
Steven Seagal. And then, of course, Jimmy Walker in there too. And, of course, Sergei Rebrov joins.
Yeah, Sergei,
so,
I mean, forgot about that. It's obviously Teddy was a great signing. He was fantastic in the change rooms. He was brilliant and great example to everyone, the way he worked and that. And I think that was the main signing. He was top class.
What about Sergei Rebrov? Less of a.
I played with Sergei at Tottenham when he was the new. Well, they've bought him for like 15 million or something.
Big money.
Yeah, he didn't have the best of times at Tottenham either, and Yeah, he's actually a lovely fella, Sergei. Quite funny as well, quite witty and that. But not the best of times for him either, was it? Let's be honest.
Did he show flashes of class?
Yeah, he did. He did. He had a shot on him. He did. He'd be useless in training, and all of a sudden he'd hit one from 40 yards and it flew on the top corner. He had that in the bag, but he just didn't do it often enough.
And what about Jimmy Walker? Memories?
Yeah, Jimmy was a great lad. He God, I've got stories about him which I cannot say on this. But just a funny man first and foremost. But a good keeper as well. He had some really good games for West Ham. Obviously, saving Lampard's penalty, he's gone down in folklore, isn't he? So,
yeah, we spoke to him about that.
Yeah, well, he likes talking about it.
The News Up at the Brown West Ham podcast is brought to you by aasport.com/West Ham, and they're continuing to do the offer in partnership with KUMB.com and this podcast, whereby you get triple your odds on your first bet. So, at home to Chelsea this Saturday, if you were to bet on 3-1, that will become 9-1 on your first bet. Incredible scenes. So that second season, you made 44 appearances in total, and there was a lot of great moments, like you say, like that night at Stamford Bridge, where we put in a hell of a performance, and obviously towards the end of the season. But did you feel like you were in good form that year? Yeah,
definitely, and I thought the team was coming together. Pardew was instilling this team ethic that maybe wasn't there in that first, or not as much there in the first season under him, where we got beat to Palace. So things were coming together nicely, I thought. And again, we probably didn't perform to our full capabilities in the league over that whole season. But it's a tough league. You're playing Saturday, Tuesday, or Saturday, Wednesday, and it's not easy to recover. I know people saying, "Oh, you're a professional footballer" and all that, but you've got to recover, and sometimes mentally and physically, and it takes its toll on you. But we coped a bit better, and ultimately we were there in the end, which was brilliant. Yeah.
Did it feel like it mounted after losing the first playoff final in that second series?
Oh, without doubt, yeah. I've never felt nerves like it before that playoff final against Preston. We just thought, we cannot get beat here. We can't, one, we wouldn't be allowed back in East London, and two, just that disappointment and knowing you've got to go through it all again. It was. And like I keep saying, West Ham need to be in the Premier League. It's as simple as that. And we had the weight of expectation on our shoulders. But like I said, we got there. So that was the be all and end all.
You kind of touched on it there. It was a difficult season, but the end of it, really, we went on a tremendous run. I think we lost only one of our last 10 games. So a hell of a run of form, and then to get into the playoffs and then play Ipswich again. So going into the playoffs this year, were you a bit more confident? Did you feel like we're much more of a better team?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, I thought we were much better than the season before, and obviously every manager makes bad signings, but I think on the whole, Pardew signings were decent, and they helped the team. Obviously, Mickey Carrick leaving was a blow. He was top class, but we were definitely more well equipped to go to the final and to win it.
So Ipswich, you're playing them again in the playoffs. First leg this time at Upton Park. I think it was Ian Westlake who just manhandles you over both legs.
Yeah.
It's noted in every match report you'll read. But we go 2-0 up and then throw it away in the second half. 2-2 in that first leg.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was. We come back in the change room after that game and thought we might have blown it here. We were devastated that they'd come back into the game, but then we went to Portman Road and it was the Marlon and Bobby show, I think, and they were brilliant on the night. And it was a great team performance, to be fair. Everyone done their bit, but we absolutely battered them, and that was a really good night. Ipswich was sick of the sight of us, weren't they? Two playoff
we're surprisingly good in playoff semi-finals. Cardiff last time, we just kind of walked past them, didn't we?
Yeah, true, yeah. Remember that.
Was the atmosphere different after this semi-final playoff? Was the dressing room like, okay, now it's...
It probably was. Yeah, after the Ipswich game, probably led by myself because I'd scored that goal. But I was like, right, we're all out, and we celebrated, which is fine. The playoff final wasn't for another couple of weeks, I don't think. But this time was more of a... And I think the manager said as well, he said, right, we ain't done nothing yet. Yeah. We've got to win this final. Simple as that. And we were like, yeah, you're right.
Does it help when you've got, I guess, someone like Teddy Sheringham who's been there and done that and has won lots of stuff, to suddenly go, guys, this is only the beginning.
Yeah, no, definitely. Obviously, Teddy'd won Champions League finals, and that, so it's a bit different. But Yeah, that experience is priceless, and Teddy's one of them that would, the top players, when they do well, they want to do even better the next week, and that's what Teddy tried to install into us.
So the Preston game, the final, nervy kind of initial start. You go close, but Tommy Repka's up there hitting the post.
I know, yeah.
What was that about?
Tommy could be anywhere during the 90 minutes on a football pitch, couldn't he? He was here, there, and everywhere. But yeah, often
not on the pitch.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, God, he was a character, him. But yeah, I thought we deserved it in the end, and obviously I've supplied the cross for Bobby for his scuff finish. But they all count, don't they? It was a good finish, to be fair. He put it into the corner, but he wasn't the truest of strikes, was it? But, that was when that goal went in. We knew we'd won it, really.
Really? So, like, full-time celebrations must have been something.
Yeah, they were good. Probably Jimmy Walker led them all.
As
he always does, on crutches. Yeah, he was on the dance floor, and the physio and the doctor were like, "What are you doing? You just done your pre-shirt," and he was like, "I don't care." He had his crutches in the air. It was brilliant. It was obviously they're good times. If you don't celebrate those times, you're not going to celebrate nothing.
Did Pards pull you aside and say, "Look, lads, you saved my job"?
He didn't, but we kind of knew that anyway. To be honest, and. Brilliant times. That was an amazing day.
Yeah, it's kind of like a sliding doors moment. We lose that playoff final. You wonder if Pardew would be at Palace. It could have been it for him.
Yep.
Yeah, without a doubt.
But of course, what happened the following season after that? So we're now at 05-06. I mean, the start of that season was going to be something really special. And coming in that summer, a good pal of yours, James Collins, comes in, signs the club. When you immediately did you meet him for the first time that summer?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
And did you think this is a top man?
I'll be completely honest. Me and Ginge weren't. Obviously, we're acquaintances. We were in the same change room and that. But I was closer to other different lads than I was Ginge at the start, but we just grew closer, I suppose. I don't know why, but we just did. He's a top man, Ginge.
Yeah, and he's still there now. Still
there now. Yeah, exactly. And whenever called upon, I always think he does a decent job. Obviously, he's going to struggle, I think, this year with Tompkins and Reed. They're playing at the minute, but you've got Ogbonna as well. He's probably fourth choice, isn't he? But it's not a bad fourth choice to have, is he? At the end of the day.
No. And he might appreciate the rest because he's got a busy summer next year.
He has indeed. I spoke to him at the weekend actually, and he was buzzing. They were all buzzing and well overdue, I think, in Wales.
You did, just on the subject of Ginge, you tweeted that West Ham were kind of letting him go. Is it difficult now? He chose to stay, didn't he? Or I don't know the actual situation, what happened. Is it difficult from his point of view to? I mean, he seems like a man who just gets his head down and gets on with it.
Yeah, he was just. He didn't want to go. It's as simple as that, really. He wanted to stay at the club, and he was hearing things from different people. There's a million agents out there that are trying to wheel and deal and say this, say that, and he was just hearing things that the club were trying to get rid of him, and he was just disappointed with that in that respect. But I think Ogbonna got injured just round about the window or a week before the window, and I think any chance of him going then was squashed, obviously, because they needed cover for Tompkins and Reed then, so it didn't happen, and he's only got a year left, hasn't he? So it'll be interesting to see what happens in January and obviously then in the summer.
Yeah. Going back to 2005, so obviously atmosphere around the club must have been incredible. Returning to the Premiership, you've done your job. I mean, and then you go out and have a great start of the season, won 4 of the first 6 games, and I think everyone had written West Ham off more or less.
No, they had. Yeah, I spoke to a few people actually, and they're all saying that we were certainties to go down. But we had a young, hungry team at that time, really hungry, and we had a point to prove in the Premier League, and we were doing that. We got off to a flyer.
Anton Ferdinand especially. He cemented himself and became a really good player.
Yeah. Anton and Gabs were a great partnership centre half. They were really, really good. Both, decent on the ball and had a bit of pace as well. Like I said, it was a young team. Nigel and Hayden in the middle, full of energy again. Pardew brought Yossi in that season. It was a great signing, Yossi. And me on the other side. It was a decent little team.
Yeah, you mentioned that name there, Nigel Rio-Coker. Obviously, he'd been made captain the season before. I mean, as a character, he seemed a bit challenging, shall we say? I don't imagine he was much of a laugh. What are your impressions of playing with him?
Do you know what? He was a decent enough player, Nigel. Very strong on the ball. The only problem I think he had, and that's why he probably didn't go on to the places where he thought he was going, is because he thought he was better than he was to a certain extent.
You always got that sense about him.
Yeah.
I thought that.
But he had some very good games for West Ham. Like, when he was running with the ball, players, opponents couldn't get near him because he was so strong. But yeah, maybe it just everything that went on and the success at West Ham, and then obviously moving to Villa, it probably just got a little bit to his head a little bit too much, and that's ultimately what cost him.
Yeah, because now I think he's playing his trade in Canada, isn't he?
He's playing with Drogba now, isn't he? Montreal, I think. Yeah,
maybe it has worked out then.
Doubt they're on the same wage.
So that initial, the start of that season, Pardew and Wenger kicking off on the touchline.
Yeah. What is that like as a player when you see a manager?
I find it funny.
Yeah. You would, wouldn't you?
I can't stand Wenger either, so it was brilliant. Yeah, Pardew wasn't having none of it, and that was we won that game, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. I think didn't you cross it?
I crossed it, for Harewood. Yeah,
the last one it was.
I remember a celebration.
Yeah.
I was going mental. Pardew.
The funny thing about that, that isn't even the memorable game against Arsenal that season, because you go on and become the last team to beat Arsenal at Highbury, and yourself had a fantastic game that night. What a performance!
That was unbelievable, and I think Bobby put pay to Sol Campbell's career that night. He come off at half time, didn't he?
Off at half time.
Went home. Straight in a cab.
You played so well, you made a player go home in a cab at half time.
I remember for the goal, he just literally shoved him off, didn't he? He's get down. And we were brilliant that night, every one of us, and not many teams were winning at Highbury at that time, so were they? So for us to go there and put in a performance like that was really good.
Yeah. You play for West Ham, you play for Spurs as well. It must be nice to think I was in the team that beat Arsenal at Highbury for the last time. No one can take that from me.
No, and we were the first team to win there as well, weren't we?
Yeah, the Emirates first team to win Emirates, last at Highbury.
Yeah, that's still chanted. That must make you proud.
Oh, without a doubt. And I'll be completely honest, I can't stand Arsenal either, so it makes it even better.
It was a decent league performance that year. I think we finished ninth. Before we talk about the Cup, we should talk about Tottenham, 4th place. You stopped them in the last game in an incident that became known as Lasagna Gate.
Yeah.
Take me through that day. When did you first get wind that something was getting wind?
Very good. We knew in the changing rooms that the team bus hadn't turned up yet from Spurs, and we knew something was going on.
Oh, really?
And then a couple of lads were outside the change rooms and speaking to another couple of the Tottenham boys, and they were saying they're in trouble, coming out both ends, and so we, obviously word spreads very quickly, and we thought, right, we've got a hell of a chance here. Let's knock them out, and that's what happened.
2-1. It was it was a carnival atmosphere, wasn't it?
It was brilliant. Those games against Tottenham were good. They're really good. Obviously the Chelsea games as well, but I think the Tottenham's always got a added spice to it, which I liked. They were good.
Added spice, another reference there. Yeah. When you're on the pitch with the Spurs lads that day, was part of you like, I need to give them a bit of distance here. I don't want to be doing it. It's the summer.
We got told it was food poisoning, so you can't catch food poisoning.
Oh, right,
you'll be fine. So,
of course, yeah.
Yeah, no, we were laughing more than anything. They were in trouble. You could tell, their faces were white, and
really,
they were really struggling, breathing heavily. And you're thinking,
lovely.
If we don't beat these today, we'll never beat them. So.
Did you know many of the lads?
I was Mickey Carrick. Did he play? I don't know if he played or come off, or he didn't play. I can't remember, but I knew a few of them.
Yeah. Good times.
Yeah.
Good times. Well, of course, that season really is going to be ingrained in West Ham folklore for many years, because we got to the FA Cup final that year, and the FA Cup run, Norwich, Blackburn, Bolton, City away, Borough in the final, Liverpool in the final. Tough. That was a tough run.
It was, really tough.
And you played every game.
I did. I nearly missed the final because Christian Daly done me in training. And I was devastated when he done that, because my ankle just completely went from underneath me and the ligaments snapped a lot. So I had 3 weeks to get fit, and luckily Part said if you get fit enough, you're playing. So I just worked my backside off for 3 weeks, night and day, and luckily I was all right to play in the final. So that was a hairy moment, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, Christian Daly, I mean, it's a man we've been trying to hunt down for several years now. He's a man of mystery. I mean, what are your thoughts on him, obviously, aside from that tackle?
Great lad.
Yeah.
Very good professional, like the ultimate professional. You'll never meet a more dedicated footballer in all your life. He was an absolute machine, didn't have an ounce of fat on him. And he loved West Ham, to be fair to him. Yeah. And I forgave him for that tackle. Actually come to the hospital and...
did he?
Yeah, so he didn't feel too good about it. I beat him on the outside. We played a practice game at Upton Park and I'd gone past him and he's just slid in so late and just literally snapped my ankle. I was like, what are you doing?
Pards must have been furious.
Yeah, he weren't happy. Yeah.
Oh, man. So the semi-final... Borough, Villa Park, 78 minutes. Harewood smashes it in there.
Good goal.
Yeah,
very good goal.
What were your thoughts? What were your memories of that day?
Nerve-wracking again. Obviously, all the semi-finals now are played at Wembley, but I quite like it when you play at neutral venues. And Villa Park's a nice stadium when it's full. And West Ham, obviously, as they always do, brought thousands of fans up there. And remember, the game wasn't the best. It wasn't the best of games, was
Scrappy,
it? It was quite scrappy. And Middlesbrough were a decent enough side at the time. We're doing okay in Europe, and it was any goal we could take, and we take it, and Marlon produced.
Yeah, I mean, what was the difference in pressure between the playoffs and like an FA Cup semi-final?
Different. There's more pressure in the playoff games, I think. This was okay. It's an FA Cup semi-final. Okay, we can play in an FA Cup final. You're still getting the nerves in that, but there was definitely seemed like there was more on the playoff games.
Yeah. So we get to the final. Liverpool. I mean, no, we didn't really have much of a. No, people have written us off more or less for that too. But then, of course, we go 1-0 up.
Yeah.
What were you thinking then?
We went 2-0 up, didn't we? In about 20 minutes. It was ridiculous. I honestly thought it was our year. I really did. Obviously, it was the own goal, the first one, and then Dino scored the second one from my scuff shot. It was the most horrendous shot. I don't know how he's filled it. And Dino's got in, and all of a sudden you're thinking, right, we've got a hell of a chance now. Liverpool fans were stunned, and they got a goal just before half time, didn't they?
Yeah,
Cisse was it? Yeah, and if we could have gone in at half time 2-0, I'd have fancied us to go all the way, I think, and to have won it. But again, we were still 3-2 up with a couple of minutes to go, and we all know what happened then. I don't like talking about it.
When it gets to 2-2, I mean, were you like, oh, we've done it, we've lost it now, we're not getting this back?
No, we were still in the game. We were playing well, weren't we? Yeah. So I didn't think that at all. And they'd put in a lot of effort to actually get it back to 2-2. And Conch had his cross come shot.
Yeah, he maintains it's a shot, by the way, going in over the weekend and said it was a shot.
No chance. Is that a shot? It's a cross all day long. But yeah, went in, great goal. And I come off after about 75, 80 minutes. I'd done well to last that long, so we had no training beforehand. And I was actually on the bench next to Ginge and saying, my words to him were, imagine the night we're going to have tonight.
Oh, no.
Put the bock on us, I think.
Oh, no. Well, I think you came off in the 85th minute.
85th was
so,
it?
So, right. I mean, you're so close, you can taste it.
Yeah. What was it? He scored with about a minute to go, did he?
Yeah, it was like bang on. I think it's just like 89 minutes and 50 seconds, something like that.
I'll blame Scaloni.
Yeah. What's he doing?
I don't know.
So,
only he can answer that.
So Scaloni apparently at the party afterwards was just inconsolable. Is that your memory, or did you not even dare look at him?
I don't think I looked at him. Obviously he was devastated, and all the lads were.
Yeah.
The last time West Ham won the FA Cup was 1980, wasn't it? So we were that close to go down in history of this unbelievable football club. So yeah. It still hurts me now, to be honest. Big time.
That was the only time, 10 seconds before Gerrard scored, was the only time I thought, we're going to win the FA Cup.
In your life.
Literally, I just thought, up until that moment, I thought, there's no way we'll get through this. And I thought, we might actually. I remember people around me were just starting, everyone was so nervous, they're just starting to sing Bubbles. And it was just starting to happen. And then, boom.
The thing is, like, it's not only Gerrard's last minute equaliser. You've got Marlon missing a chance in the last on his leg with cramp.
No, his ankle. I think his ankle was knackered and he couldn't put any weight on it. Yeah, and our penalties at the end were a shambles, weren't they? Let's be honest.
Did you practice? Yeah.
No. But I'd like to think if I was still on the pitch, exactly, I'd have definitely took one. And but yeah, let's remember Anton's one, and it was feeble, wasn't it, to say the least.
When you heard who was taking penalties, were you like, really?
Yeah, I think it was more of a case that whoever put their hand up, and you, to be fair, you've got to have some balls to put your hand up in an FA Cup final and take. So all credit to them. But it helps if you stick the ball in the back of the net as well.
Yeah. And I mean, this kind of the end of an era, that game, really, because the wheels kind of came off a bit the following season. The owners changed. You got Tevez and Mascherano. Dean Ashton refers to that kind of period of West Ham as like really happy-go-lucky, and everyone's just loving it and like really good. Did you feel it change over the summer, or was it more kind of gradual than that?
I think it was when obviously the new owners took over, the Icelandic owners, and Tevez and Mascherano come in. That's when you really sensed it was changing, yeah.
It was I've got really fond memories of that time, because as you say, it was a really young, hungry team, and it felt really exciting under Pardew, didn't it? And it just felt like, FA Cup final and a good run in league, and then suddenly it all just went from amazing to just all fell apart.
And obviously, we didn't get off to the best start of that season, and maybe there was a bit of complacency on us as players, our behalf. We weren't performing the way we were performing the season before, so we've got to take some blame for it as well. But we were losing. I think that was around about that time when we lost that game to Watford, who had just got promoted, and they were bottom of the league, and we were horrendous on the day. And I remember the fans shouting, "You're not fit to wear the shirt," and all that. So they weren't happy, And I think the Icelandic owners had a different vision for the club, and I don't think Pardew was part of it. But I think without doubt, he should have been given time to turn it around. That was a no-brainer for me.
Was it the addition of Tevez and Mascherano in the changing room? Did it create?
No, they were good lads. They were good lads. There's nothing like that. But just, I don't know. It was just the club had a different feel about it. They didn't speak much English. He had an interpreter with them 24/7, even on the training pitch and that. So, but we had a good core group of boys who really got on, and they didn't disrupt that in any way. They were good lads, to be fair. They weren't wrong uns or nothing like that. But the club just felt like it was going in a different direction, and obviously then Pardew went and they brought Kerbishley in.
Yes. So
whenever you speak to, very briefly, do you ever speak to Hayden Mullins anymore?
I don't speak to him anymore. No.
I wonder when he looks back and he thinks, I used to keep
Mascherano was unbelievable in training.
Really?
I can't tell you how good he was. I couldn't believe Pardew wasn't playing him. I was like, what's going on here? He was negging people for fun.
I never knew that. Well, I just assumed he was.
No, he was a joke.
Really,
he was an absolute joke. Yeah, he was better than Carlos in training. Carlos didn't really. I wouldn't say he didn't try in training, but he wasn't interested. I think with Carlos more than anything, it was about I'll do it on a Saturday. But Mascherano in training was as good as I've seen, to be honest.
I mean, how was Hayden Mullins keeping him out of the team?
Maybe Pardew was going. Do you think Pardew maybe was going? Well, no, I'm going to prove
a point. Loyalty to my
maybe
just prove a
Hayden
point.
And Nigel season before were brilliant, to be fair to them. But, they were very good. Hayden was very calm on the ball, very reassuring, and played that holding midfield role really good. So, but
I mean, what's Mascherano done?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
apart from all those Champions Leagues he's won.
Yeah, I know.
Incredible. So obviously, like you say, Pardew gets sacked, and Kerbs comes in. Thoughts on Alan Kerbishley? Was he the right man?
Honest opinion, he won't my cup of tea. Maybe in the fact that as soon as he come in, he bought Lewis Boyamorte, and I was thinking, what's going on here? He said, no, he's not going to replace you. And then 2 weeks later, he's in the team instead of me. So I was thinking, well, at least tell me the truth, just don't feed me no lies. And but just as a man, he didn't have much about him, to be honest. He was quite bland in many respects, and but ultimately he kept us up in the end. By hook or by crook, he did.
The baby Bentley situation, when he came out in that press conference, I mean, that was when the wheels fell. We thought, oh God, we're going from disaster to disaster.
He shouldn't have said that. He shouldn't have said. Even if he believed it, he should have pulled, the lads that he thought were in this baby Bentley crew or whatever, and pulled them to one side and told them. But at the end of the day, if the lads have got the money to buy a nice car, then that's their prerogative. They can do what they want with their money. And I just think he shouldn't have said that, and that is where it all went downhill from there, really.
But what about Pards? There's obviously a lot of rumours that he was messing around, kind of like in every sense imaginable. I mean, this is what the fans heard. But do you think there was any truth to that?
No, no. I've heard lots of rumours as well. and I'd be really, really surprised if those rumours are true. I don't think they are in any way, shape or form. I might be wrong, but I'd be very surprised if I am.
Yeah, yeah. That's exactly what Jimmy Walker said, so I'm starting to believe it. So, I mean, the end of that. So, if we go talk about matters on the pitch, Sunday, 4th of March, Spurs at home. I mean, one of the most traumatic matches in like West Ham's long history. 10 points adrift from the fourth bottom of the league. Tevez scores. We're 3-2 up with 5 minutes to go, and then we end up losing.
Oh yeah, that was an unbelievable game. I don't think I played in that, did I? I can't remember. I don't think I did. I was in the bomb squad, I think. Curves weren't having me, but yeah, that was heartbreaking, that game. And I think, was it after that or before that we played Sheffield United as well, and we got spanked 4-0. And I genuinely thought after that game we're going down here, because they went, I think, 4 or 5 points clear of us, or maybe even more, and looked a decent side, and ultimately they were the ones that went down in the end. But after them beating us at Bramall Lane, I thought we are really in trouble here.
Yeah, I think it was before, wasn't it? Because after Spurs, it seemed to somehow, being so close, seemed to galvanise the team, didn't it? Bring everyone.
Maybe
together.
It was before the Spurs game.
I think it was actually after we lost at Bramall Lane, because we won 7 of our last 9, but one of the ones we lost in that run was at Sheffield United at Bramall Lane.
Right.
But you missed our last 3 games of the season.
I was there though. I was at the games, all of them, and that game at Old Trafford was. You can't make it up, really, can you? Let's be honest. Beating Man United away, they're champions. Obviously, Carlos, he was unplayable those last dozen games. He was. I wouldn't say single-handedly kept us up, but it's
more
as close. As close as it gets. He was brilliant. And like I said, I don't know how we did it, but we did.
Yeah,
it was frightening, really.
What happened to the team to play that badly up until March, and then suddenly?
You know what? I think a big thing was Lucas Neal. He was an unbelievable captain, and when it was going really wrong and we were in trouble, big trouble, he just organised a couple of afternoons after training on a Tuesday. Say we had a Wednesday off, and we'd all go out. Everyone had to go, even like Carlos and Mascherano or any of the other foreigners. Everyone had to be there, otherwise you were fined. And we'd go and have a nice meal. We'd have a few drinks, nothing silly. We wouldn't get smashed or nothing like that, and just chat. And a couple of hours, and it really helped. Everyone got to know each other a bit better, especially the lads that have come in that season, and it really helped. And I think Lucas has got a big hand. We deserve to say a big thank you to him, because he was fantastic.
He was a great captain.
He was.
So many ex-players say that about Lucas.
He was brilliant. He was a good man.
Yeah, I mean, what would you think? He was the best captain you played under for West Ham?
Yeah.
Wow.
I would. Yeah, he was brilliant.
Yeah, It's interesting with the kind of the Icelandic lot that come in. Obviously, Scott Parker, Craig Bellamy, Freddie Ljungberg, Kieran Dyer. There's some big personalities there. Do you think Lucas Neal was the shrewdest signing that they made?
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah. Oh, he kept the dressing room together. Obviously, you talk about a few of them. There's a few nuggets in there, to say the least. So, but yeah, and they were coming in on massive wages, and they weren't really improving the team, if we're being completely honest. So it was getting the players' backs up, and he kept everyone together, and that was a big reason why West Ham stayed up in the end.
Yeah. So
here we go. So it's so I was just checking. So we lost 4-0 to Charlton. I remember that actually. Then we lost 4-3 to Spurs. Then we went on a little run where we beat Blackburn, Middlesbrough, Arsenal, lost to Sheffield United 3-0 away, Chelsea 4-1 at home. Then we beat Everton, Wigan, Bolton and Man U.
I mean, it's a crazy run, man.
That is crazy.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got some spankings in there as well, haven't we?
Remember Reading, the 6-0.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. I didn't play in that game, thank the Lord. But yeah, it was a topsy-turvy season, to say the least.
Yeah.
And there was lots of things going on behind the scenes that didn't help. And like I said, I'd go back to it. They should have given Pardew longer. And I don't think we'd have been in that situation.
Was one of the issues Tevez gate? Obviously, he shouldn't have. There was all that whole thing going on.
That didn't bother the lads, to be honest. No, I wouldn't say it was that. There was more things about, obviously. He was an okay bloke, but I don't think he was the greatest manager in the world, Alan Kirby, I'll be completely honest. And there was other things going on as well that didn't help.
Yeah. But then we much improved like the following season. We brought in some of those players, like you say, that obviously there's a few nuggets in there. I mean, Kieran Dyer didn't exactly earn his money over the next few years while he was there. Memories of that man. Is he on the Christmas card list?
No, I would say he is. I didn't like him. I did not like him. He was just, like I said, it got the lads' backs up that these players were coming in on huge wages. And they weren't improving the team.
Yep.
Fair enough if these players are going to come in and they're going to add something to the team and we're going to go on to the next level or what have you, then you think, you hold your hands up, you think, okay, fair enough. But they weren't. Most of them were injured. I think Craig Bellamy come in and done well, to be fair to him. And he was a good professional, got the best out of players in training.
Was he a wind-up merchant?
He was just ruthless in training, quite harsh in many respects, but I think he done well, but he wasn't there for too long, was he? Left.
No, that was interesting because in his autobiography, I think he talks about wanting to stay and that the club got rid of him. It was Duxbury, wasn't it?
Yeah,
they were offering him out to Spurs and Man City,
right? Yeah.
and he came out and said, "Well, I want to stay here."
Yeah,
but
I think he liked it in London.
Essentially said Laters.
Yeah, I mean.
He was good. He was a good little terrier, Bellamy. I'd like seeing him play longer.
It's sad, really, because kind of the last couple of years of the club, obviously, is like they give all this money to these players who don't really improve the team, and then suddenly they run out of money, and they're shooing people out the door like Bellamy, and then ultimately yourself, like...
Yeah, can you play again, please, Matty? It is what it is. It happens in football, and obviously... well documented. My personal life wasn't in the best place at the time either, so that had a lot to do with it. But it happens to everyone in football. Players are always trying to, or clubs are always trying to improve their team, and players are going to come in and try and take your place. And ultimately, it's down to you to work hard and to prove that you deserve to be in that team.
Obviously, you're on record as talking about your gambling addiction, and obviously you come back from that and work with Sporting Chance to recover from that. But how did it really affect your performances on the pitch? Was that the thing for you that kind of made you lose your place? And
yeah, definitely. That game you were just saying there, the Charlton game when we got beat 4-0. I was. It wasn't brought out in the press, but I was in sport in the clinic for a week before that. I hadn't changed, and I just met the lads on a Saturday, and Curbs played me for some mad reason. And I come off at half time. I didn't know where I was, what I was doing. I was like, I wasn't in the right frame of mind to be playing, but Curbs played me, and I come off at half time, but ultimately we got beat 4-0. So there was a lot of things going on in my personal life. Obviously down to myself. I don't blame anyone else. I made the decisions I made, but it just didn't help, and that probably where the first few years were brilliant, I thought, at West Ham, and I'd done really well. The last couple of years, I probably didn't. I had the odd glimpses here and there, I think, but on the whole, I didn't perform the way I wanted to perform. Yeah,
I mean, could West Ham have handled it better? Was it the case that maybe you shouldn't have been playing, or?
Well, I think that game I shouldn't have played. On the whole, West Ham were brilliant. I'm not going to sit here and say they weren't, but I just think, like I said, I'd been in Sporting Chance Clinic the week before, the whole week leading up to that Charlton game, and Curve said, I'm going to play you, and I was like, well, okay. But it probably wasn't, looking back on it now, obviously hindsight is a wonderful thing, but I probably shouldn't have played.
Yeah, and obviously there's lots of rumours that allegedly your gambling debts were catching up to you in terms of training, like people coming outside and asking for money from you or trying to collect extra bets. I mean, did it ever get that bad, or?
Yeah, I'm doing a book next summer, and there's about a million stories in there that you probably won't believe. It is quite shocking that I've been obviously talking about it to the ghostwriter these last couple of months, and I've tried to block most of it out. I've obviously been trying to re-jog my memory now, and look, when I'm telling these stories, it's quite shocking, and obviously a big part of that time was my last couple of years at West Ham, so I'll save it for that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that book is going to be obviously.
No, it'll be good. I'm not saying it's going to be the best thing or anything like that, but it'll be very interesting reading in respects that some of the things that I was doing when I was gambling were just plain stupid. So it'll be a decent read.
So on the forum, Penfold 711 said, "Is there enough support available for people out there, particularly in football?"
No, this has been talked about so many times. Like, obviously, we're in a real macho business where if to admit a weakness, or if you've got a weakness, people thrive on that. Fans thrive on it. I get so much stick when I was playing after I come out, and obviously the gambling stuff was saying, Lennis a tenner, Matty, all that, and you've got to be strong. But so people, I've had so many agents call me up saying, "Can you speak to such and such a player? He's banging trouble. His missus has left him. He's in all this debt." And I've gone, yeah, I'll speak to him, no problem. Not one of these players. I probably had a dozen phone calls. Not one of these players has actually called me because they don't want to admit defeat. And they don't want to admit they've got a problem because they perceive it as a weakness. So maybe more can be done. The PFA obviously got Sporting Chance, which is a great organisation. But first and foremost, the people that, if you've got a problem, you've got to actually admit it yourself and come clean. And I don't think people are doing it.
Yeah, I've got a friend who's a consultant in addiction. He was telling me that gambling addiction is actually one of the worst kind of addictions you can have because it involves, like, no one can tell you're a gambling addict. It's not the same as alcohol, for example, where you're walking, stumbling around drunk, and you have to construct like so much around you and so many lies to kind of hide everything.
I was the best liar in the world, honestly, and I'm not proud to admit that, but I was. It's the most dangerous addiction, I think, and people were saying, well, obviously alcoholism's an addiction and drug addiction, but gambling's not an addiction. Why can't you just stop? And I just think that's such an ignorant way to look at it. It is an illness, and there's no, doubting that fact. It's an illness, and it's a dangerous illness because, like you said, you can hide everything. You can, tuck it away deep down. No one has to know anything, and you can go on about your normal life, and no one knows what's going on.
There's rumours that Pardew stopped the card schools, but did he ever become aware that there might be a problem?
Well, I think he just saw the money that was getting exchanged.
It was in cash,
we were bringing $5,000 cash per person to every away trip, and then if someone's got winning and got $15,000 on them, you can I fire off you, and you jot it down, and people were losing 15-20 grand in one trip, which is, looking back on it now, which is absolute ridiculousness, but it was what it was. It happened.
Yeah. And then if we talk about the end of your West Ham career, I mean, I think you've said in the past that maybe you had to get out of London. Was that the case? Was that really
I think I needed a change. As much as I love my time at West Ham and I love the club, and that's genuine that I did, I needed a change. I needed to get out of the country. Maybe get out of the country as well. Get out of London and just have a bit of time to breathe and sort my life out, basically. And luckily, that's what I did.
Yeah, and then you went to Stoke. You carried on, had a great few years there.
I had some good times at Stoke, to be fair. See the cup final and the semi-final, scoring at Wembley, which is a dream of mine. But again, got beat in the final. So 2 finals, 2 defeats. But there we go.
So a few questions from the forum. Fozzie, Mr. Kirby says, do you think you could have played for the senior England side?
Yeah, I think I was good enough, and that's not me being big-headed. I think that's me being realistic. And there was times, definitely when I was at West Ham and at Stoke, little periods where I was good enough to play for England.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like we had no one really on the left wing who could do what you could do in terms of getting balls in the box.
No, I genuinely, that's one thing that I probably regret now I've retired. I never got that call up, but ultimately it wasn't down to me, was it? It was down to whoever was picking the squads.
We always have a little bit of a beef about it, the fact that West Ham players seem overlooked by.
It was the same at Stoke as well. Yeah, I don't know what, the thing that bugs me is Roy Hodgson always goes on about, and previous managers, I'm going to pick players on form. It's not true. Yeah. No. If players are picked on form, then Aaron Cresswell should be in the England squad. It's as simple as that. But he ain't.
Pink Palermo, we've kind of answered this, but I'm going to ask anyway. Was a goal against Ipswich Town the greatest ever moment in your life?
Obviously, the birth of my daughters have got to be on there as well. But
that's what I like.
Yeah, that was. That was, like I said, the feeling I got from that goal was ridiculous.
A guy called I've Got Curly Hair Too said, where's your 2006 Cup Final shirt?
Boxed up very tidily and neatly in my garage.
Wow, in the garage?
Yeah.
You've played for a lot of Marmite managers. Fry, Hoddle, Roeder, Kerb, Zola, Pulis, Hughes. You have. Who gave you the best bit of advice?
Probably Pulis. I was playing really well in first season I went there, and we were talking earlier about top players and that, and I'd had a run of games where I was doing really well, getting man of the match, and he goes, right, if you want to be a top player and you want to go and play for England, then you need to train even harder this week than you did last week, kind of thing, because I was probably bolting about the place a little bit, thinking, oh, look at me, I'm playing really well at the minute. And he was like, you can kick on another level, but I never did, unfortunately. But I thought that was really, and that's why the best players are the best players. Apparently, Ronaldo works tirelessly in training and always looking to improve, and that's why they are the best.
DT64 says, you're one of my favourite players. What made you dive against us in that?
Here we
should
go.
say a few people said that. Asked that question.
I reckon there's got to be, I don't know how many West Ham fans, but there's a lot that ain't forgiven me for that. And, listen, all I can say is I didn't think I'm doing this against West Ham. I was genuinely desperate to get to an FA Cup semi-final, and the referee was having an absolute mare. And I thought, if I go down here, he's going to give a penalty. He was dying to give us something to even things up, and I did it. And I'm not proud of it, and I apologise now to everyone, but I missed the penalty. Maybe subconsciously I did,
Did it on purpose.
That's an interesting insight. Do you think this referee is having a nightmare? I reckon
he was having a stinker, because I think the Picky on goal was it handball or something like that? Anyway, there was a few decisions that were going on.
It's a name I've not heard for a long time.
Dark times.
But and I just knew he was going to give us something. He was, because the crowd were on his back, and I just thought, I remember Scotty going, because Tonks was playing right back at the time, and Tonks weren't happy, and Scotty's gone to Tonks, did you touch him? Tonks gone, no. He goes, I didn't touch him. I was just looking at him thinking, anyway, I missed the penalty. So.
Tonks is right back again at the minute.
Yeah.
Right, and Colson's left boot says, who was the most gifted player you had the pleasure of playing with?
Ravel Morrison was a joke, and when I trained with West Ham, the start of last season, I've never seen talent like it. But obviously, I didn't really play with him. I wasn't signed for the club or anything. Joe Cole, when I was playing England under 16s and 18s, was a freak. Some of the things he used to do with football was out of this world. Michael Carrick, I think he's been so underrated. Obviously, he's won loads of Premier Leagues, and he's won the Champions League, I think, as well. But he's a very, very good footballer. So Tevez, Mascherano, obviously, yeah.
Mullins,
yeah. Champions League winner Hayden Mullins. So West Ham now. Do you ever find yourself going down there?
Yeah, I went to a few games. I haven't got to a game yet this season, but I went to a few games last season, and I'll definitely be getting down there this season again. It's looking exciting. It's the best squad I've seen for a long, long time. Yeah.
How do you fancy this season?
I think it'll be topsy-turvy, as it has been for the opening 8 games or whatever it's been. Losing at home to Norwich and Bournemouth, is it? Yeah, that was right. Yeah. It shouldn't be happening really.
Draw with Norwich, lost to Bournemouth and Leicester.
Leicester as well, yeah. So I think it will be one of those seasons. I just think at the minute was better set up to play away from home on a counter-attack. The teams with the team that we got with Payet, and obviously Moses is going to be a good signing, I think. Lanzini, lots of pace in the team. So I think we're set up better to play away from home at the minute. And when teams are coming to Upton Park, they're sitting behind the ball quite a lot, so it's hard to break them down. It's a different side of us that we'll need to work out. But exciting time, like I said, the squad, the strength in depth is ridiculous, and it's as good as I've seen.
Yeah, and last season at the Boleyn, of course, place. I'm sure you've got a lot of memories of.
Oh yeah, in fact, I was down there today doing something for the West Ham official website, and just looking around that place. Obviously, I had some incredible times there, but the place is just steeped in history. It just, everything about it is special, and it'll be a sad day when the club moves. Yeah.
When you walk around there, do you hear the ghosts of the horn blowing from Ipswich? Ipswich at home,
I even really knew about that. Obviously, we were in the changing room, so I didn't know what was going on.
Attack!
Yeah.
And then lastly, Olympic Stadium, moving on there. Do you think it's the right thing to do? Have you been there?
I haven't actually been in the stadium. No, I've drove past it quite a few times. It probably is the right move, yeah. As sad as it is to leave that special ground, it probably is the right move. And you have to say everything the chairman have done since they've come in so far has been good and for the good of the club, and I can't see why this won't be either.
Yeah. And now to the future. I mean, you've touched on it there. You've got the book coming out, which is going to be explosive. Can't wait to read that. And of course, you're working with X-Pro now. Is it the charity?
Yeah, doing a little bit with them. On and off. Just charity work for ex-professionals that are struggling really in the game, or out now they've left the game. and playing lots of golf. That's about it.
And so long-term goal, coaching.
Yeah, long-term goal. I want to get into management. I've done my B licence in the summer. Enjoyed it, found it really interesting. But I want to get into coaching at a lower level, academy or something like that. To start off with, try and learn about myself as a coach, the way I'm, what I'm good at, what I'm not good at. But yeah, long-term goal is to become a manager.
And any other teams starting with West Ham you might be keen to manage?
Maybe the ladies' team, for example?
I'd definitely be interested, but obviously they've got a manager at the minute. It doesn't seem like it's going too well, but and that's putting it mildly. But yeah, who knows? I'll definitely be interested if I had the opportunity. But from what I hear, the chairman is pretty happy with who he's got at the minute. So
we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah.
Campaign begins.
Yeah. And what kind of management style of all your managers? Which one do you look at? Obviously, probably not Glenn Roeder.
I think you've got to try and take a bit from everyone. To be honest, I don't know. It'll be interesting. First and foremost, I'll try and get respect. That's what you need to earn respect, but you need to get the respect off the players first and foremost, otherwise you got no chance. So I think that's key.
What will you take from Roeder? Possibly interior design?
Yeah. some of his rooms in his house were quite nice. Yeah.
And a hologram.
He's a nice fella, to be fair to him. Yeah. He was a good fella.
Excellent. All right, well, Matty,
thank you
so much. I mean, a tumultuous period of West Ham history, and you were right there, a part of it, and of course, some of the greatest memories we've ever had. If probably the best night at Upton Park for me, you were right there, smashed it in top corner.
Yeah, no, they were amazing times, and like I said, times that I'll never forget. So I actually feel privileged to have been part of those times.
You'll always have that West Ham FA Cup final shirt in the garage, or maybe not. Maybe not in the garage.
No. Box in the garage.
Maybe in Glenn Roeder's garage. We can buy him out. Wonderful time. And you're on Twitter too, right?
I am, yeah. So feel free to abuse me on Twitter or anything like that, and as most people do.
You don't need to give them any reason to abuse. They'll do it anyway.
I know. Yeah. We just get blocked straight away. I don't even bite back anymore. So
what you say is Chelsea at home this weekend. Quick prediction for that one.
Palace, isn't it?
Oh yeah, well, it's pre-recorded.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
We smashed Palace at the weekend. Chelsea cut 5-0 against Palace. Chelsea next week.
Well, it's very cliche, but it wouldn't be a better time to play them, would it? They're in turmoil at the minute, so they're all over the place at the back. So you got fancy chances. It could be a famous West Ham win.
Yeah, take that. Is that you that positive?
Yes. Yeah, 3-1 West Ham.
You never know.
What a day that'd be.
You never know with West Ham.
Very true.
Thank you very much, Matt Etherington.
Yeah, Matty, thanks so much.
We'll speak to you next week.